Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are deconstructing the promotional materials for a crypto earning system called Forton. It's built on the Chain blockchain, and, the source material makes some pretty bold claims about revolutionizing decentralized income. So let's just get right into the mechanics it describes and see what's what. So yeah, the documentation really positions this as a major golden opportunity. Our job here in this explainer is to just unpack how the system is said to work, piece by piece, so you can see the whole picture for yourself. Okay, let's dive right in. All right, here's our roadmap. Super simple. We're going to start with the underlying tech, then zoom in on the Forton system itself. After that, we'll break down its two income streams, the active and the passive, and we'll wrap up with the exact user strategy that's recommended in the source material. Okay, first things first, let's talk about the foundation. To really get a handle on Forton, we first have to look at the blockchain it's built on, and that's Chain, also known as the open network. So the source material really presents Chain as the technological bedrock for this whole system. A huge selling point they mention is its origin with the creators of Telegram. That's kind of used to establish its credentials as a really high-performance platform. And the promotional material, it zeroes in on these specific features as the reason it was chosen. We're talking speed, low cost, scalability, and of course that native integration with Telegram's massive user base. These are all presented as the core strengths that, supposedly make the Forton system even possible. All right, so now let's see how that foundation is actually used. We're going to shift from the blockchain itself to the specific application we're here to look at, Forton. So what exactly is it? Well, the source describes Forton as a system that runs on a smart contract. Now, the key phrases to pull from this definition are fully automated and decentralized. What that's meant to imply is that there's no admin control and that all the transactions are verifiable right there on the blockchain. Now, this slide gives us some really important context. The material basically positions Forton as an evolution, like a 2.0 version, of a pretty well-known project from 2020 called Forsage. The whole idea is that it's aiming to build on that legacy, but with upgraded tech and better efficiency, all thanks to using Chain. And that brings us to the core mechanics of earning. The system's split into two parts, and we're going to start with the active income component. This is all based on something they call a matrix structure. So the whole system is built around these 12 levels that you have to activate in order. As you can see, each level's activation cost essentially doubles as you go up. And on top of that, there's a 25% fee that gets sent to a totally separate passive income fund, which, don't worry, we'll cover in just a bit. Okay, so each of those levels operates as what's called a 2x2 matrix. All that means is that 6 positions need to be filled in the structure right below you to complete one full earning cycle. And the source is clear that these spots can be filled either by your own referrals or through what it calls spillover from your wider network, your upline, downline, or even crossline. All right, let's actually walk through how one of these payment cycles is described. It's pretty straightforward. It's completed when 6 people join the matrix under you, and this usually happens in a few stages, just like you see here. The key thing to remember is that the first 4 positions trigger direct payments, but the last 2, they trigger something else entirely. Okay, so for those first 4 people who join, their payments get split. 50%, boom, sent instantly to your wallet. The other 50%, that goes to your upline, which is just the person in the network who is directly above you. So, what about those last 2 people, right? The payments from the 5th and 6th positions, they aren't actually sent to you. Instead, they're used to automatically recycle your position. This basically opens up a brand new empty matrix for you on that very same level, letting you start the whole cycle all over again without having to pay another activation fee. All right, so that pretty much covers the active side of things. But there's also a second income stream detailed in the materials, and this one is referred to as passive income. Hey, remember that 25% fee we saw on every single level activation? Well, that's where this money comes from. It's all collected into one big passive income fund, which is then dished out 3 times a month, on the 10th, the 20th, and the 30th. Now, the distribution is definitely weighted. A full half of the entire fund is reserved just for users who've activated level 6 or higher. The other half, that gets split among users on levels 2 through 5. And this group they call the top 10 squad team, which honestly isn't really defined any further in the materials we looked at.
So how is your specific share calculated? Well, the system's documentation says it all comes down to these three factors: how many levels you've personally activated, how many direct referrals you've brought in during that 10-day cycle, and of course, the total amount of active income you've earned in that same window.
Okay, now that we've got a handle on the two main mechanics, the active matrix and the passive fund, let's look at the strategy that the source material explicitly, and I mean explicitly, recommends to users.
And this is really the fundamental question for any new user looking at a system like this. How do you start? Do you dip your toe in the water, or do you dive in head first? Well, the documentation provides a very, very direct answer.
And there it is, a direct quote from the material. The advice is, well, pretty unambiguous. Activate as many levels as your budget allows and do it right from the get-go. The reasoning they give is that this is how you maximize your earning potential from, both the working and the non-working parts of the system. So here's the crucial point. There is a really powerful incentive to stay ahead of your team. The system is set up so that you can only earn from levels you personally own. So if someone you referred activates a level that's higher than what you have, you just miss out on any payments from that level. Plain and simple. Okay, let's tie this all together for a second. What we have is a system on Tonchain with an active income matrix that splits payments and recycles, which really pushes for continuous recruitment. Then you've got the passive income funded by that 25% fee on every single activation, which heavily rewards the higher leveled participants. And finally, that core strategy to activate as many levels as possible, it directly links these two parts together, creating a crystal clear incentive structure. Invest more, do it earlier, and build your network to maximize those potential earnings. So the source materials really present this system as a revolutionary way to generate decentralized income, leveraging the speed and the power of the TON network. Now that you have a clear breakdown of the mechanics exactly as they are described, you're in a much better position to evaluate that claim for yourself.